Kakadosh Boker Tov, Masechet Chagigah, Shavua Tov, Daf Daled Amud Aleph 4A1. Okay, if you remember, yesterday we were talking about that the case of the Shor, Chamor, and Gamal, right? What does that mean? If you have a case of an ox that comes and it gores the first time a Shor, second time a Chamor, and third time a Gamal, it becomes a Muad for everybody. Why? Because all of a sudden it comes and it does it for everything. So the same thing, if a person is going to come and he's going to do all three, which means that he's going to do, you remember the three things in one thing, which is basically, what is a shoteh? Yotzei yechidi balayla, going by himself in the nighttime. Lam bet hakvarot, he's sleeping in the bet hakvarot, or mkarech suto, and he's tearing his clothing, he becomes a muad for everything. Says the Gemara, and this is where we left off. Amar Rav Papa comes and he says, Ishmiya le Rav Huna hadetanya. Right? Did we hear that with Rav Huna that he comes and he teaches and he learns in a Braita? What is a shoteh? Right? So hava hadarbe, which means if he would have heard that there's a Braita, you know what the Braita says? What is a shoteh? Somebody, you give him something and he loses it.
He tears it up, he destroys it.
No, he loses it. Sometimes you give him his hat, he can't find the hat. You give him a Gemara, he can't find the Gemara. You give him his glasses, he can't find the glasses. He loses everything, right? He loses everything that's going on. Yeah, very careless. He doesn't know how to watch things, right? So he says, Ava Hadabe. So he would have actually come and retracted. Okay? So fine. So says the Gemara, Ibailehu. So they ask, Ki Ava Hadarbe. Right? When Rav Huna was going to be Chozerbo, meaning Mekareak Sutohu Ava Hadabe, is he going to be Chozerbo on the fact of tearing his clothing? To Damya Laha, which is like this, which basically he's destroying things or losing things? Or Dilma, or maybe Mikulu Hava Hada. Maybe it's really Be'emet, he's retracting from everything, from the entire right, meaning all of the three cases. So therefore, it's only just retracting on one out of the three. He's retracting out of all of the three of them. So says the Gemara, we don't have an answer. We're not sure. Meaning, okay, we know that he's going to retract, but he's going to retract from what? From just the last one or all everything? We don't know. Take it, okay? So now says the Gemara, Tumtum, Vandroginos, yeah? So he says, what about the halacha of a tumtum and a droginos? Remember that the tumtum is somebody that it's covered over, right, his body part. So we don't know whether it's a male or a female. And a droginos is somebody which has both male and female organs. So says the Gemara, when it says zachur, right, which is lashon of zachar, leotzit anashim, this comes to exclude women. Women are not chayav in the mitzvah of olat re'iyah. They are not chayav in the mitzvah of aliyah l'regav. Zechurecha leotzi tumtum adroginos. So therefore, they don't have the mitzvah re'iyah and zechurecha, right? Because it says it could have just said zachur. Why does it say zechurecha? The extra chaf to exclude a tumtum and androginos. The tumtum is the person that we don't know whether it's a male or female. Androginos is that it has both. Okay. What is called Zechurecha come, right, to include? Because remember, we just had Zechur. Zechur comes to exclude the women. Zechurecha, with a Chaf Sofit, comes to exclude Tumtum Vadroginos, okay, from the mitzvah of Re'iyah, right? What about now Kol Zechurecha? The word Kol. So the word Kol is Lerabot Tektanim. It's coming to include the children. So children are obligated in the mitzvah of Re'iyah, okay? The mitzvah of Re'iyah. Yes, obviously, because if not, you already were excluded from the females. Okay, Amar Mor says, Zachur leotzeet anashim halam leikra. Why do we need a pasuk? Meaning, why do we need a pasuk to come to exclude the women? He says, Michti, mitzvah shazman grama, right? Mitzvah shazman grama. That's what he asked, right? So if it's a mitzvah shazman grama, so that's it. V'chol mitzvah shazman grama, nashim turot. Says Gemara, no, itzrich, I need it. Why? Salka daita chamina. I would have thought to say, Melaf reya me'akel. Just like Richard said before, 1 second, there was a mitzvah of hakel. Women were obligated in hakel. Now, if we did a gezerah shava of shal aliyah l'regel, which is the olat riyah to hakel, so I would have thought to say that I make a gezerah shava that women are obligated also in the mitzvah of aliyah l'regel because of hakel, even though it's a mitzvah to say shazman grama, albeit, right? So he says, ma'alehala nashim chayvot, avkan nashim chayvot. Kamashmanan comes to teach you, Zechurecha comes to exclude women. So that's why we needed a pasuk to explicitly exclude the women, because if not, I would have included them. I would have said, Be'emet, they're actually obligated. Okay? So Amar Mor, More says, Zechurecha is lotzi tumtum vadroginos. When it says, right, Zechurecha, it's to exclude tumtum and androginos. Bishma androginos itzich. I understand androginos. Why? Right? Because Salkata Gamina, I would have thought to say, at the end of the day, he's got a male organ. Right? Okay, so he's got the female one as well, but he's got a male organ. So the fact that he's got a male organ, I would have thought to say that he's chayav. Kamashmalan, bidya bifnatzmo. It comes to teach you that really be'emet androginos, that it has both male and female organs. It's a new creature. It's a new creation. It's not that it's a male plus it's got female genitals. No. It's a new entity. Okay, it's a new entity. Elatumtum sfeiko. So he says 1 second. But the tumtum, it's a safek. It's covered over. So we don't know if it's a male or female. Because over the private part is another piece of skin. And if we cut that skin and do a type of a surgery, we don't know what's under there. Is it going to be a male or a female? So mitzikra lemiut sfeka. Do we need a pasuk then to come to exclude a safek? I understand that androginos, there was a havamin at least at the beginning, that androginos, it still has a male part, so it's going to be obligated. So he said, no, it's a new creature, so you need a pasuk to come and say, you're not going to be chayav. But to do with the safek, which is the tumtum, which is a doubt, I don't even know what it is, whether it's a male or female, why do we need a pasuk to exclude it? It's a doubt, you're patur. So Amar Abaye comes and he answers, no. What does that mean? The pasuk is talking about that the tumtum has, right, outside of the or, right, you've got beitzim. So you do have you've got the testicles which are on the outside, and therefore since the testicles are inside, but the actual, the gid, which is the, so basically Abaye comes and he says that once you have the testicles on the outside, but the gid, which is the organ itself, is actually covered. So therefore, that's what we're saying. It's not that much of it's a little bit of a safek, but at the end of the day, you still need a tur. You need an exemption, right? Because if not, if you don't have the exemption, right, that's it. Amar More says, Kol zechurecha lerabot tektanim. Says Kol zechurecha comes to include children. Gatnan. I thought we said that everybody's chayavin in the riyah. I thought you said a katan is patur. So what do you tell me now that Kol zechurecha, right, is going to be including the children? So Abaye comes to say, La kashya, it's not a question. Kam bekatan shegiya lechinuch, kam bekatan shelo higiya lechinuch. A child that already comes to an age of education, he's obligated.
You know why?
Yeah, why? Because you have to start training him, right? 100%, but it's also you're training him in chinuch, right? What you're talking about is hakel, right? But the concept is that we have to start training him and doing mitzvot. But he still didn't get to the age of chinuch. So therefore, what happens is he's exempt completely. Why? You're not educating him. He's too young. He doesn't understand what he's doing. So therefore, there's no education in that child. So says the Gemara, right? He says 1 second. Katan shegiya lechinuch, right? D'Rabbanani. 1 second. How can you tell me now kol zechurecha is lerabot et haktanim? Remember, when you say kol zechurecha, it's a pasuk in the Torah, and kol is coming to include. Beforehand, the zechur was coming to exclude. Zechurecha is coming to exclude. Kol is to include all. It's including. So it's including the ktanim. 1 second. Doesn't make sense. If you're including the ktanim, it means the midoraita. Ktanim are chayavim. Mitzvah chinuch is only d'Rabbanan. It's not doraita. So what's going on, right? Katan shigil d'Rabbanani. Answers the Gemara. Enachenami. You're right. 100%. It is a mitzvah d'Rabbanan. Ukra asmachta be'alma. But the psuk is just an asmachta, meaning that really be'emet it was only d'Rabbanan. But we wanted to put it like with a hint. So we based it upon a pasuk. But really be'emet it's not really the pasuk.
Most
right?
of the time when there is a
So now the pasuk is going to say 1 second. You're going to tell me the real explanation of the pasuk is not to include children. Why? Because you just told me the children of the Rabbanan. And then they put it as a samachta to the pasuk, which means they put it like a basis to the pasuk. But that means what's the explanation of the pasuk then? Right? Ve'ela krai le'ma'ayata. So what is the pasuk coming to include? Right? Because the word kol. So answers the Gemara, lechde acherim, like acherim. Acherim, the time was learned to write acherim, omrim acherim say, hamkametz. What does that mean, hamkametz? Hamkametz is that he's gathering together in his hands, soat klavim, right? The excrement of dogs. V'amtzaref nechoshet, right? Or he is going to come and he's going to be mitzaref nechoshet, which means they come and when they dig, right, in the ground for the copper, the bursi, to right, or the people which are me'abed orot. These are people that are like tanners, These three groups of people are going to be exempt from the re'iyah. Why? Somebody that could go up with all zechurecha. Right? Why? Because of their bad smell. Meaning that it's only somebody that could go up with everybody else. But these people, since they have such bad smell, right? Remember, in the olden days, they used to use the tzvat klavim, right? They used to use it for detergents, right? That means you used to wash your clothing with tzvat klavim, right? They used to use it for, there was many different things, soaps, right? There was many different things that they used to use. So because of that, what happens is that these people, they had such a bad smell. The tanners are dealing with the, I remember I once went to do shechita, right? And mamash, the smell is something not, and there you're not even doing bemet, you're not, but they have the skins, the animals. It's not a pleasant fragrance. You understand? That means you have to make sure that you're going to shower 100 times before you get back into your house.
Says once you shower, you go.
Yeah, after you completely understand. But the way that they are, they're exempt because they cannot go up with everybody. Meaning it's a completely different, it's just impossible for them to go. Okay? Fine. There's the Gemara. Nashim avadim she'enam meshuchranim. We're talking about now women and avadim kena'anim, arevet kena'ani, which are not freed. Okay? So says the Gemara that these are exempt also from the olat riyah. Bishma nashim kedamran. I understand women, because we just mentioned it before. El avadim minalan. How do we know that slaves are not obligated in the olat riyah? So Amar Ravuna says, it says in the pasuk, El peneh ha'adon Hashem, which means that shalosh pa'amim b'shana yireh, by 3 times in the year you're going to see yourself to Kadosh Baruch Hu, peneh ha'adon, to the master, to the face of the master Hashem. So it says, Mi she'en lo en adon echad. That's only if a person has one master, which is Kadosh Baruch Hu. That's a ben chorim. Yatza zeh. This comes to exclude a slave. She'yesh lo adon acher, that he's got another master. Meaning the fact that this slave has another master other than Hashem, so he doesn't do on the other day, right? Obviously,
he's half Jewish.
Yes. 100%, right? So it says over here, okay, halama likra. Why exactly, right, why do we need a pasuk? Michti, let us see. Kol mitzvah she'isha chayevet ba, eved chayav ba. We know that any mitzvah that a woman is obligated to, so to an eved kenani is obligated to. So therefore, v'kol mitzvah she'ena isha chayevet ba. And therefore, any mitzvah that a woman is not obligated to, an eved chayav ba. So the Gemara la mi'isha, because we learn a gzera shava, la, right? So therefore, right, that's what we learn from the women. Which makes sense also, because even though he's a male and they have to convert him when he actually becomes an Eved Kena'ani, but still, if you're going to now start obligating him to do all the mitzvot in the Torah, imagine, hey, you tell him, listen, Mr. Whatever your name is, Mr. John, I want you to do, I'm sorry, I have to pray mincha. I'm sorry, I have to do shahrit and arbit and this and that. You're going to say, well, what slave did you get? You didn't get a slave. So therefore, he's like a woman. Right? He has the halachot of the women. Women are not bound by time. You understand? Right? There's no such thing. So therefore, what happens is they're exempt from all the mitzvot shazman grama or anything to do with time-bound things. So the same halacha. He says if you have a gzera shava, just like a woman is exempt, so to have a kenani should be exempt. Ravina comes in, no. Lo nitzecha ela mi shechetzio eved v'chetzio ben cholim. We're talking about a half-half. A half a slave and a half free guy. Okay, and therefore, that's why that's the pshat. I mean, by a guy that's half, he's still exempt from the Qurban Riyah, or from the Olat Riyah, from coming out to Aliyah Regel. Why? Because he has more than one adon. Meaning, if it was just because of a real 100% slave, I didn't need the pasuk of one adon or two adons, one master or two masters, because I just learned him from a regular woman. And just like a woman is exempt, he's an exempt. But a guy that's half of him is bemet obligated to go to the Bet HaMikdash. The fact that he's got another master, that's why he's going to be exempt. We could also actually deduce this from the Mishnah itself. When we said in the Mishnah, Nashim avadim she'enam meshuchranim, women and slaves which are not freed, my she'enam meshuchranim, what does it mean that they're not meshuchranim? Maybe you're going to tell me she'enam meshuchranim klal, that they're not freed at all. Litni avadim stam, should just say eved, avadim, right? And then I already know that we're talking about avadim she'enam meshuchranim. Meaning, when you say a slave, automatically it's a slave that's not freed. So what does it mean, lam? What does it mean? Shenam shuchrinim. When it says avadim shenam shuchrinim, slaves which are not liberated, it means that they're not completely liberated. Okay? Umayninu, who is that? It says a guy that's half. An eved that he's half. Shema mina. 1 second. And therefore, Shema mina, therefore we learn from here that the pasuk el penei adon Hashem comes to exclude an eved, which is half, that he's not going to be obligated in the Qurban Olat Riyah. Sorry.
I'm the infirm.
That's the Gemara. So we're talking about somebody that's lame, blind, sick, or elderly, and they cannot go up with their legs, or anybody that cannot go up with their legs. We learned in the Braita. Shalosh regalim. What is regalim? Is lashon raglaim. Prat lebalek kabin. So we already learned this. This comes to exclude somebody that his legs are made out of wood. How is that called? It's like a
Peg leg.
Peg leg. Thank you.
Wooden leg.
Wooden leg. Davar acher, another explanation. Regalim. Right? What does it mean regalim? Regalim is also raglaim. So he says, why? Because all these people, they cannot go up with their own legs. Says the Gemara, so then 1 second. If you just told me now that obviously all these people you're learning from regalim because it's raglaim that they cannot go up, so what does it mean also somebody that cannot go up with his legs? You just told me somebody that's lame, somebody that's sick, elderly, blind, they can't go up. So then what are you including when you say somebody that cannot go up with his own legs? Latuya mai. Samarava comes and he says, Latuya comes to include Dalad Amubet. 4b, right? Mefanke. What is mefanke? There are certain people that are very mefunakim. What do you mean mefunakim? They're very finicky, right? What do you mean finicky?
Delicate. The city is.
Yeah, they're delicate.
Chachamim were that way.
Right? Yeah, exactly. You're right. No, but you don't have to go to certain chachamim. You have people here in this room, right? Yeah, a little tiny thing. They're already, like.
Talking about you.
Yeah, you understand? So that means it's basically that all of a sudden. Right, so the Chtiv says in a pasuk, "Ki tavohu liraot panai, mi bikesh lo mietchem ramos chatzerai." He comes and he says, "When you're going to come to visit me, to see my face, who's asking you for it? I'm not going to ask you that you're going to be so finicky. So this, I can't sleep in a bed that's not this. I can't go to the washroom, which is a public washroom. I can't do this. I can't do that." So then, in such a situation, right, what happens is, yeah, it's not there, right? So Hakadosh Baruch Hu says, "Mi bikesh lo mietchem." Who asked this from you? I don't want you to come. Tana, we learned in the Braita. Yes? Tana, we learned in the Braita. He arel, somebody that's arel, which is uncircumcised. But tameh, somebody that's tameh, is also pturim min hariyah. They're also exempt from the olat riyah. Bishama tameh, I understand tameh, dichtiv, says in pasuk. Uvata shama, vavetem shama. Kol sheyeshno biyah, yeshno behava'ah. If right now you're allowed to go into the Bet HaMikdash, so then you have the concept of hava'ah. Yeah, so he says v'chol she'eno bebiyah, and something that's not going to be in the biyah, eno hava, is not going to be in hava. Ela arel min halan. But an arel, what are you going to do for an arel? Right? How do we know that an arel is not going to be exempt? He says, Hamani, who is this? Rabbi Akiva. It's going to be Rabbi Akiva. The mar be'arel ketame, but he says that the arel is like a tameh. The time was learned that right. Rabbi Akiva says, ish sarua lerabot et arel. When it says ish sarua or zav, right, that a person has sarat or zav, it comes to include the arel. That arel also has the same isur. So the arel is like the tameh. Okay?
Outside, please.
Basically, we learned in the Braita. So somebody that's tameh is going to be patur from the Rabbi. It's written vata shama vetem shama. You're going to come over there to the Bet HaMikdash and you're going to bring the korban. Kol she'eshno b'biyah, anybody that is able to come to the Bet HaMikdash, to the Azara, yeshno be'avah, so then he can bring the korban. So then if he cannot come, so he cannot bring it. Rabbi Yochanan ben Davai Rabbi Yehuda says Rabbi Yochanan ben Davai, in the name of Rabbi Yehuda, Suma be'achat me'enav patur min riyah. Somebody that's a suma, blind in one of his eyes, he's also going to be patur from the riyah. Shneimah says in pasuk yir'eh, but we come and we say yera'eh. What does that mean? It's written yir'eh, but it's yir'eh. Kederech haba lir'ot, kach ba lira'ot. Ma ba lir'ot b'shteinav, of lira'ot is b'shteinav. Usually when a person comes to see, he always likes to see with two eyes. Right? When a person does not, so therefore just like when a person comes to see, wants to see with two eyes, so too, right, what we're trying to say over here, when he's come to be seen, it has to be with two eyes. So he has to have two eyes in order to be chayav in the Korban Olat Riyah. Ravuna, when Ravuna used to get to this pasuk, Yir'eh Yera'eh Bacheh, he used to cry.
Is he blind?
Why? It says over here like this. Amar, he said, Eved, Sherabo Metzapeh Lo Liroto, right? Imagine right now you have an Eved, a slave, that it's so chaviv, he's so precious, yeah, on his rabbi, until his rabbi Metzapeh Lo Liroto, he wants to see him. V'itrachek mimen, right? All of a sudden now he starts distancing himself to him. How could it be? Right? He doesn't want to see him. Tichtiv says in the pasuk, he's going to say, I don't understand. How could it be right? That basically that we want to see, we're yearning. And now HaKadosh Baruch Hu turns he doesn't want to see us, right? So he was crying. How could it be in such a case? Okay? So he comes and he says, Ravuna kimatila. Ravuna used to come to this pasuk. Also, Bachar, he used to cry. What was the pasuk? You're going to come, you're going to do, right? You're going to bring the shlamim, and then you're going to eat it over there. This is in the Varim over there. So it says, Eved, the Eved that he wants to eat on his table. He wants to come, and he wants to distance himself from him. This is again in Yeshaya. This is all in the Chazon Yeshaya Naftarav of Parashat Shabbat Chazon of Shabbat Devarim, right? Where this is the right before Tisha B'Av, right? The one of Tisha B'Av. So therefore, he's coming here. Who says, "Lama why do I want you? I don't want your services. I don't want your sacrifices." So he says, "Yomar Hashem." He comes and he started crying. He says, "What? We're yearning." Now Hashem says, "I don't want it. Yeah, I don't want it." Rabbi Elazar, Rabbi Elazar, when he got to this pasuk, Bacha used to cry. Right? That the brothers, right, they weren't able to answer him. Why weren't they able to answer Yosef HaTzadik? Because they were astonished. Just like the Tochav of Yosef HaTzadik. But he's a human being. This is what's going to happen. So imagine right now the Tochav HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Imagine what a Tochav is, such a strong rebuke. They can't do anything. But imagine, he just started crying. Rabbi Elazar, when Rabbi Elazar got to this pasuk, he used to cry. Says Shemuel to Shaul, Lama irgastani la'alot oti. Why did you get me upset? Why you got me afraid? You brought me up. Shemuel HaTzadik was afraid of what? Of minadin, of justice. He thought that now all of a sudden it was the time of deen, of justice. So Shemuel HaNavi is afraid of justice, of deen, of being taken to court. So what about us? We're not going to be afraid. If he was afraid, he was already dead, right? But he was still afraid of judgment. So what are we going to do then? Shemuel Maihi. What is the case of Shemuel? What is Tochav Shemuel? Why was it that he was afraid? It says the woman told Shaul, this is the woman, the witchcraft woman that she brought him up. She said, Elokim Raiti Olim Trei Mashma. When it says that Raiti Olim, that they were coming up from the land, Olim is mashma of two. So it's like two people. One of them was Shmuel. They eat Artazal Shmuel and Moshe. The other one was Moshe Rabbeinu. Meaning Shmuel HaNavi brought Moshe Rabbeinu with him. Why? Amarle, he says, Din ma'achatz v'shalom ledina mitabana. Right? He comes, he says, maybe they're going to take me to judgment. Kum ba'adi, come with me. Telekam into the ketav v'reta lo kamiti. There's nothing written in the Torah that I was not mekayim. So imagine, he took Moshe Rabbeinu with him. That means she comes and she says, I see two people coming up. It was Shmuel HaNavi, Moshe Rabbeinu. Because Shmuel brought Moshe Rabbeinu because he thought he was being taken to judgment. So he brought Moshe Rabbeinu to prove everything that's written in the Torah I fulfilled. There's no one thing that's written in the Torah I didn't fulfill. So he says, Rabbi Ami, right, just to show you the greatness of these tzaddikim, you understand? So he says, Rabbi Ami, kimat laikar, when Rabbi Ami came to this pasuk, he started crying. If you're going to put in their mouths dirt, maybe there's hope. Amar, he says, kulihai ve'ulai, right? All this sa'ar, right, is mitztaer, the person that the choteh b'yisurav, and maybe it's ulai, you've got tikva, meaning a person that comes and he sins, he needs a lot of suffering. And even if you're going to put, all this dirt in his mouth and everything, maybe there's hope after all the suffering that he's going to get. Rabbi Ami, Rabbi Ami, when he got to this pasuk, he was crying. Says, pursue righteousness, pursue humbleness. Maybe, right, they're going to be, maybe they're going to be saved, right, in the day of Af Hashem, of anger, of wrath, right, of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. What does that mean? Which means that the Navi is actually coming and telling us to become better, that we have to have righteousness and we have to have humbleness and everything. And it's only maybe, maybe, right, we have some hope. Rabbi Yassi, Rabbi Yassi, when he got to this pasuk, he was crying. It says, Sinu ra, you have to hate wickedness. Ve'evu tov, love goodness. Ve'atzigu bashar b'mishpat. You have to stand the shad and mishpat, to put justice in the entrances. What does that mean? Maybe HaKadosh Baruch Hu will have mercies. He says, even after doing all these things, right, hopefully. It's a maybe. Rabbi Yosef, when he came to this person, he was crying. Some people are taken without justice. What does that mean? Some people are taken without justice. So he says, Mi'ika, says the Gemara, Mi'ika da'az v'lo zine? Is there anybody that goes without the proper time? Answers the Gemara, in yes. Listen to this carefully. Ki hadra bevai barabai, because Rabbi Barabai was Shliach Kabeh Malach HaMavet. Malach HaMavet was always by him. He was guilty to be with him. Amale li shlucheh. So once the Malach HaMavet told the Shaliach, Yazil aiti le Miriam megadla seah neshaya. Go bring me Miriam, that she's megadla seah neshaya, which means that she comes and she's the hairdresser. Right now we know that this is the Miriam, the mother of Yeshu. What was Yeshu's mother's name? Right? Miriam, Mary. Yeah, so he says over here, what happened? Azel aitile Miriam megadle dardeke. He brought the wrong Miriam. He brought Miriam, the school teacher, the one that was bringing up the nanny, the one that she was teaching in nursery. Amarle, so Malach HaMavet told the Shaliach, Ana Miriam megadle shaya menecha. I told you Miriam megadle. You brought the one. Amarle, he says, okay, you're right. Yachiv, so ahadra, right? I'm going to bring her back to life because I killed her. Amale, he says, he says, no, once you already brought her, she's already part of the count. He brought the wrong Miriam. So, okay, go back and get the other Miriam. But you already brought the one. She's already part of the count of the dead people. No, that's it. She's already here. Yeah, you already brought her. Now, by the way, how do we know this? Because if you remember in the Gemara in Masechet Gittin, right? Daf Yomi over there. So the Gemara there says, the Gemara says over there in the Masechet Gittin, the Gemara over there says, Papus ben Yehuda, right? It says over here in the Gemara, I'm quoting you the Gemara Masechet Gittin 90a, Tzadi Amud Aleph. Tanya, we learned in the right. Yada Bimin Omer Bimin says, just like there's deot in food, there's deot in women. What does that mean? He says, יש לך אדם שזבוב נופל לתוך כוס וזורקו ואינו שותהו. וזוהי מידת פפוס בן יהודה שהיה נועל בפני אשתו ויוצא. There is a person, there's a zvuv, the fly falls into his cup. He throws it out and he drinks it. And that's Papus bin Yehuda. Why? He used to lock up his wife and go out. Right? And there's a zvuv, right? There's a person that a zvuv falls into his cup, right? He comes and he says, right? And what happens? That means he's not going to drink from the first one, Papus bin Yehuda, he wouldn't even drink the cup. And the second that a fly came in, throughout the entire thing, he doesn't drink. The second one, he's going to drink it. What is that? Midat kol adam shemedaberet in kol achia ve'krovei menecha, which means there's certain people that they come, that's normal people. What are normal people? He'll let the wife, she'll be able to speak, whether it's to her brothers, to the family members, and he's going to leave her. And then there's certain people, the zvuv nofel letoch tamchui, right? That the zvuv falls inside of a tamchui. He's going to suck it, and then, right, he's going to eat the rest, right? That's midat adam ra, that he sees that his wife is going out and her hair is revealed, and she's going half unclothed and bathing in front of men and doing all these things, and he doesn't care. So basically, there's three different things. Just like by food, people are a certain way, so too by women, it's the exact same thing. So now in this thing of Papus ben Yehuda, if you look in Rashi says, right, like this. Rashi says, Papus ben Yehuda, Ba'ala shel Miriam megadla neshaya haya. The husband of Miriam, megadla neshaya, the hairdresser. So when he used to go out to the shuk, Noel dele befanea, he used to lock her up, lock her in. Why? So she shouldn't speak to anybody. But it's not proper. Why? Because of this, there becomes a type of like a jealousy or a hatred type of thing. And then she's gonna have relations, right, on him. So now we understand that a person could be taken from this world even not on the proper time. So that's why he was crying. So he comes and he says, okay, fine, but how could he take her? It wasn't her time to die. So answers the Gemara, Hava Nikita Mitara Bida. She was having a shipud, which is like the skewer, right, in her hands. The Havat Kashagra, and she was Masika, she was coming and she was putting the oven. Shakalta, she took the fire, and by mistake, she put it on her leg. Kadcha, and she got burnt. The itra mazala, now the mazal went. The aitita, so then he was able to get her. Meaning once a person's mazal goes, right? The mazal, if you remember, we explained in Masechet Megillah, Daf Gimel Amud Aleph, right? What did we say there, if you remember? We said over there that to do with the mazal was the malach that protects a human being. So the malach that protects a human being, once the mazal or the malach puts his guard down, now they're unprotected. Now you can take it. So therefore, that's exactly what happened. Itra mazala. The mazal went, once the mazal was not on the best, that's it. He had the permission to come and to take it. Okay, and then Bezat Hashem, we continue tomorrow. Bezat